Or anyone heard of a strategy they thought was great but are too scared to apply it? Renovations? Yeah? Yeah. Okay, so that's one of your important points. There's got to be a way to add value, and that makes a lot of sense to me. And think about it too, when we say add value, what are we trying to do? We're trying to make it that whoever looks at this property after you sees more value in it than what it was before you came on the picture. So a renovation, well, you're making it, you're presenting the property in a better way, so someone else thinks, well, for what I want, that suits me better, so I will pay more. I really feel that there's it's kind of some simple basics that if you want to make money, you do have to kind of give something for it. And that could be you just give somebody an option they didn't have before. For example, Jonathan's talk, giving people a chance to buy they didn't have before. They will pay a bit of extra money for that. Or give somebody a property that's renovated that they like, they chances are will pay a bit extra for it. So one of the really important things for me is to think, what can I do, not for my benefit, but so whoever else looks at this property or this opportunity later, they're going to have a benefit. And if you come at it that way, it just opens the door up to, well, not only making money, but feeling great, because you know that along the way you've actually made something better for somebody else by you being a part of it. So, yeah. So any other questions? Let's do something. I'd like a question where your question is going to be good for the whole audience to kind of give a show of hands or something. So has anyone got something they'd like a bit of feedback from everyone else on? No? Not on that? Okay. So I'll start at the back, so I'll come back to you. Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure on me now.
That's okay.
My name's Graham. I'm just curious, when you did your first development and anybody else, what was your mindset? Were you really nervous about it? Because you don't know all the things you have to do. You think you do, but you don't.
Yeah.
Did you procrastinate a lot? Did you just jump in? I know you said you bought those two just up the road here.
Yes.
What was your mindset behind that? Were you really worried about it? Were you thinking it's no problem?
Well, the way it happened, firstly, I did attend an event that was like a seminar that talked about property developing and such, and that was something that gave me opened me up to the idea of developing. I hadn't just thought of that. I started with Jan Sommer's book, so that was not about developing. That was just buy and hold rentals. After attending this seminar, I thought, okay, here's a new possibility. Now, when I realised these two adjoining properties might make a development site, they actually weren't both on the market at the same time, but I found one of them for sale. And because I'd just done the developing course, I thought, gee, if I could buy the place next door, this would make a great development site. So I just bought the first property with the view that if I could buy well, whether or not I got any other property with it, it was just a good investment property that I could just hold on to. And then as part of that, I contacted the neighbour to ask if they'd be open to selling, with being unsure whether they would or wouldn't, but still buying that first property anyway. And it turns out the neighbour said, well, not right now, but in about 6 months, yes, I will be looking to sell. And so I wasn't at all nervous, because the property that I first bought stacked up independently without depending on it being a development site. Now, was I nervous that I was going to spend some money and then lodge something with council and they might have said no? I at times would say that I was a little bit unsure about that, but again, those people around you, I had a particular architect who helped with the design, had a town planner on board, and he was explaining to me the rules of what council look for. And this is another way that I've found developing works better for me, and that is not to try and push the rules. If council doesn't want to have more than, well, if they don't want a certain number of dwellings on a site, why should I tell them that their rules are wrong and I should get more? I'll work with them, and by knowing that if the property will stack up working with the rules, then you've taken away the risk of getting rejected. It doesn't mean you don't ask for more. I have asked for more, but I don't count on it. So a bit nervous because you're putting all money out, but at the same time, getting some advice around you of how closely what you want to do fits council's guidelines helps give you the confidence. And again, that seminar too kind of buzzed me up. So overall, I was way more positive than negative. And even while it was with council, it took a long time to get approved. And you know, maybe I was worrying a bit about how long it was taking and such. But I knew that you've got to kind of take a step out of your comfort zone to experience something new. How else are you going to experience it? So I was willing to just see it through. Yeah.
Whose seminar was it?
It was two people, I believe they were cousins, called Danny and Paul Hanna. They're from Sydney, and it was called the Wealth Matrix. Some of you, I saw one nodded head, but this was back in about 2003, and the reason I started looking then is looking at the market, seeing how values are really high and rents were quite low, I was thinking, well, that could be a bit risky, like how can prices just keep going up and up? So I wanted to know what else was out there, and I went to one of the intros and thought, wow, this will give me some more ideas or options that I didn't have before. Yeah, okay. And I had a question, yeah?
My name's Alan. I just wanted a quick question. How long do you keep your property for before you sell it?
Okay.
Well, we've got led to believe that's about 2 years or something like that before you're best to keep it for.
Yeah. I look at it this way. If I can get a really satisfying return the very day I've bought it, like the day I've signed the contract to buy it, if someone else wants to buy it off me and pay extra, I would do that. Now, some of you might be scared saying, well, hang on, isn't that a whole lot of tax? And it might be, but I would weigh that up and I would consider whether that suits me or not. And part of what I buy, I'm intentionally willing to turn it over because I want that buffer. I want to keep my buffer at the right level. So if I can turn something over very quickly and it helps me do that, I would. On a more general note, if I can hold it 12 months or more, that's great because I get to lower the amount of tax due to that capital gains discount. That
Pay rates here.
Pay rates.
Pay rates there.
Yeah.
The longer you keep it, the more rates you pay, don't you?
Yeah, but what I also do is I think about, with property, you know you've got your rental income and your capital growth, which either comes naturally or you create by doing something to add value. I don't get too caught up on the expenses. Like, I'm paying a lot of land tax, and you know, I guess at times I think, wow, what a waste of money. And land tax is triggered when you own above a certain value of land. And instead of focusing on that and thinking, well, gee, I better sell everything because I don't want to pay land tax, I rather think, okay, what extra property can I buy this financial year and turn over and make enough to pay my land tax? So it's just a shift in thinking the expenses aren't the enemy. I want more income, and then the expenses are almost my friend because it drives me to make more. So it's a little change in perception. So if I was to sell something and have tax to pay, I still appreciate the bit that's left. And if I feel that I didn't like paying that tax, I think, well, what else can I do to more than make that tax back? So that's sort of part of my outlook. And because I'm not focused on what I don't like about it, and I'm focused on how to move forward, it makes it more pleasurable for me as well. I just feel like it's a bit of a game in a sense that, like, okay, well, I put a bit out here, now I'll just do the next one to make a bit more there. So and other times I'll hold something much longer term. So I've got some property that at the moment, 1999, I bought a house at Murarrie at that time for $65,000. It's just a little 2-bedroom house. It's right near the train station at Murarrie, just on Queensport Road. And now that house, I don't know its exact value today. I haven't tried to borrow against it recently. But I'm sure it's worth, say, at least $300,000. There wouldn't be anything much less than that around, certainly not at Murarrie. And with something like that, I feel that's kind of forced me to be a buy and hold property, because if I sell it and I work out how much tax will I pay, the amount of capital gains tax, even with a discount, takes away such a chunk of money that I would rather hold that property, just borrow from it periodically and never sell.